I'm D'Angela.
And we're work spouses. Yep, you heard it right. But not the type that you're thinking of.
We realize you spend more time with people at work than you do with the people you love most.
We're going to discuss the interactions such as the games played at work, building the right and avoiding the wrong relationships. D'Angela and I, we're currently work spouses.
Join us each week as we testify, help, and complain about work in corporate America. Welcome back, coworkers.
Welcome back.
How's it going, David? How's your week thus far?
My week is going good because tomorrow's Friday. And
yes. Yes.
I feel like we just worked just to make it a Friday. Yeah, I mean,
you got to have a different goal in mind each week.
Yeah, I think I just work. Hey, I'm just trying to make it a Friday. That's it.
Okay. So, starting out, I want to talk about the cocktails.
Okay.
And these cocktails is my do-over from last week. I feel like last week was the worst cocktail I've ever made since making cocktails. Because I don't like sweet cocktails, okay, right. So I couldn't really dig it.
I mean, okay, I'll go with you on that one.
I feel like it wasn't the right amount of alcohol to sweetness.
Or is it possible that you're possibly overachieving the first 8 weeks?
I had too high expectations for myself.
Then now it's like, okay, now you're actually at your average.
I'm at average. I don't want to be average.
Okay.
But so this one is a play on Moscow Mule.
Okay.
But it's a pomegranate mule. Moscow Mule.
I like pomegranate.
So I'm gonna call this Rubies on Ice because of the idea of the pomegranate seeds.
Okay.
So what I actually did was I actually prepared this cocktail. I actually used the ice tray, put the pomegranate seeds in the ice tray, and put a little bit of water. But I don't. So with my ice trays, I don't use tap water. I use actually spring water. So
I'm not surprised.
Okay. So it has spring water and pomegranate frozen ice inside. And I usually you can usually do this for any cocktail, especially now because it's such holiday season. You can put like herbs in them or even lemon, and think about it, or alcohol, and depending on what alcohol, because not all alcohol freezes, and put it in your drink to keep it cool instead of watering it down with ice. With water.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
so you're not going to do it like the clubs.
Exactly. So that's what our glasses are garnished with. Right. It's garnished with pomegranate ice. So when it melts, it'll melt until I'll drink. And I have here in the shaker, it's really simple, just vodka, lemon juice, and pomegranate juice. And all I did was buy fresh pomegranates and muddled it at the bottom to make the pomegranate juice. So it's not even concentrated.
Okay, sounds like you know what you're doing. Okay, so let's...
Well, it's coming from my, I have a food blog, so it's coming from that where I like everything fresh, so I don't buy anything concentrated because then it'll have too much sugar in it. So if I purchase pomegranate juice, it'll have too much sugar and then it'll take away from the flavor.
Okay.
And I'm trying to
craft. This is... Did you already talked about what's inside the glass?
Yeah, the ice cube with the pomegranate inside. You see it melting with the pomegranate, right?
That's pretty creative.
So
You saw that, or you came up with that? You saw this somewhere?
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. It's really
everywhere.
not. People do for summer cocktails too.
I'm not in the loop.
Yeah, you're just not in the loop.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna fill you up.
Okay.
And I'm gonna fill me up. And then our sound engineer has to tell us what's going on with this because, again, this is my do-over.
Okay, so we have to get.
But wait, he has the official cocktail, and also this is the ginger beer. So you top it with ginger beer, but you can't. If you shake up ginger beer, it'll be like a soda. So you don't want to do that.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna top it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, let's cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, see, these are glasses now, so they actually cling.
I think we're too close. There we go. You're gonna try to shatter it on me.
Not bad.
It's strong.
It is? I think it could be a little stronger. Okay, let's add a little bit more ginger beer then. You think it's strong?
Okay. I mean,
try it now. Because the ginger beer is the top. But because we don't have an ice,
I feel like that weakened it.
The ginger beer? Then it's fine then. Because see what happens is like I don't have, usually when you go to a bar or something, they give you a ton of ice in your glass. and then they put this drink in here, which is not supposed to be this much, and add the drink, the glass the ice actually like make it seem like you have more drink than you actually have, and then you top it with ginger beer.
Okay.
So we actually have cocktails for maybe like 4 people here.
Gotcha.
You see what I mean?
You're
Because
right.
it's like a glass full of ice or a cocktail full of ice. If it's not one of those.
Yeah, in the real world, yeah.
Right. And you see how I use the little ones for the gin because I'm using less ingredients.
Gotcha.
You know, so yeah. But this is our cocktail, our holiday festive cocktails. I'm not sure how long I'm going to stick with this holiday theme because it's not really up my alley. I don't know if I can bang with this sweet pomegranate, cranberry, all that crap.
Okay. So let's jump into the topics for today. So
ginger beer helps. I just took another sip.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's still going to be strong, but the ginger beer just helps with the
it.
balance.
Okay.
Yeah. You need that balance, David. Sorry.
Okay. You need that balance. So the main topic for today is called justifying dysfunctions. And sometimes we justify dysfunctions in our work environment. You know, there's dysfunctional systems and processes, but we justify it anyway. And we justify things in our relationship, behaviors.
Oh, yeah.
And family members, things like that. But before we get into the main topic, I had a side topic that popped up, and it was: have you ever grieved a work relationship because the person moved or got promoted or left? So
grieved?
Yeah, and when I say grieved, yeah, because you may be used to working with a certain person, then they go to bigger and better things, or maybe bigger and better things, or maybe they just new opportunities to do something else, or they got moved because the company split or something like that. It'd be all kind of reasons why you can be
detached from
detached. So have you ever worked with a coworker before and like, man, something happened and like, oh, this person left, and you kind of grieved them, like you missed them?
I probably only missed them if they moved out of the state.
Okay.
Typically, if we've established a relationship at work, I will continue that relationship outside of work. Like, I'll keep in touch.
Okay.
So that's kind of like my level of seeing if we were more than just close coworker friends. But typically, I can tell now that I'm older who's a closer friend outside of work, or who will be once I meet them, and how long we worked at the job.
Yeah.
Some people you can't tell until you leave the job, but some you can tell. So I'll still have like happy hours with them, hang out with them, even if it's like once a quarter or a few times, a year or a season.
Okay.
But I'll hang out with them afterwards. I will connect with them. But if they blow me off so many times, then I'll stop connecting with them because I'll feel like they don't want to connect.
Okay, I'm going to add a twist to this.
Okay.
So have you ever maybe crushed on somebody, a guy or girl, I don't know, and
I'm equal opportunity,
and they left for whatever reason? They could have been a temporary employee, whatever was the case. They left, and you're like, oh shoot, man, I didn't really get to develop a relationship that I wanted with that person, and maybe you sought after them of any type of form, or
wait. Okay, I'm confused.
All right, so let's say we work together, and I never really got a chance to connect with you, but then I wanted to, but then you left. But it's like, oh shoot, I'm gonna try to look this person up and try to find them. Hey.
Oh.
Or has that ever happened to you? Like where you worked with somebody looked.
Yeah, on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The professional way. Mm-hmm. And how do you has that happened to you?
It hasn't. They didn't take it further than LinkedIn.
Okay.
If that's what you mean. Like if that's what you're asking, right?
So they just connected with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they really knew how to because I don't really check my LinkedIn that often. So if you're looking to connect with me via LinkedIn, you're gonna have to give me like one message has going to entail all these things.
Gotcha.
Like, hey, I didn't get your number before we left. Let's hang out before you leave. Here's my number, blah, blah. You're going to have to give me everything because I'm not going to keep having conversations with you back and forth. Like, this is a text message to have small talk
Gotcha.
on LinkedIn because I'm not on there that often to do that.
Okay.
So, but I haven't. Have I done that in the opposite direction?
Yeah.
No, if I connected with them on LinkedIn and we chat, and say, "Hey, girl, yeah, or hey, how's it going? You know, guy, whatever, if a guy or a girl, a woman." I say, "Hey, yeah, how was everything?" And we have that conversation. Say, "Hey, let's hang out outside of hit me up." Then we will. But typically, the people who I'm going to hang out with after, even if I leave, I'm going to hang out with them because I've already given them my contact information prior to leaving.
True. So, yeah. and that's a good thing because I think the older we get, the more realistic we get with who's going to be real friends and who's going to actually be in our life for a reason, season, or lifetime, whatever. Yeah. So, okay, that makes sense.
So, my question to you, or, just want to put it out there, like, do you have, like, coworker friends or friends that you've met and invited them to personal events that you've held at your home or with your family or with your wife, maybe? Because sometimes you usually establish like a friendship with the coworker prior to leaving because you have invited them to something outside.
Yeah. And mainly, I had some guy relationships that transferred over where they met the family and I've been to the house and things like that.
That's good.
There might have been like a game that brought us together because we're rivals. It might have been just game night.
Right.
I used to play poker a lot with one of my friends in San Diego a lot, things like that. And brought my family. Even used to bring my kids over to the house and they play with the dogs and things like that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even some girls. Yeah.
Yeah. I assume, but I think it's good to hear that guys do this because I didn't expect guys to do this often. Yeah. I just find that guys are so nonchalant. Like it's just like you guys got to run into each other or something. I don't know.
I mean, that's true. I think in terms of guys nurturing their friendships, I'm not sure if Well, I don't know if people really nurture their friendship like they should.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, but even like my best friend who's in California, I don't talk to him that much, but I know he's my best friend. He knows I'm his best friend. And when we get together...
You are best friends.
Yeah, we're best friends. And even as grown men, we say, hey, yeah, that's my best friend. That's my guy right there. But do we nurture a relationship like we should? Probably not.
Is it considered nurturing or is it considered... just not needing that much attention from each other? Because some friendships require a lot more attention than others, or some require more in a friendship than the other person. Like it's a toss up.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be. Okay, so then you have. Okay, so I mean, I know we're going down like a whole
rabbit hole here. Yeah, because we got to get back to this dysfunctional topic.
Yeah, but even that could be a dysfunction in terms of is it dysfunctional that hey, you're my best friend and hey, we only talk 4 times a year.
Ooh.
But but
stop.
Go ahead.
Let's stop this right here and let's get into this dysfunction topic because I feel like this is something I want to answer to later down the road here.
Okay.
And before we get too involved, I want to give the chaser.
Okay.
I want to start off like let's talk about toxic or dysfunction rather, and how toxic and non-toxic, or if dysfunction is subjective. Because that's what I have a question about.
That's good. Okay, that's good. Okay.
So, starting off, do you know the definition of dysfunction?
I have my own definition. I don't know if...
Okay, what's your own definition? Yeah.
I mean, let's say in a relationship, just something that's not put together, something that's out of order, out of whack.
Okay.
Also, well, then in a relationship, I would say, dysfunction is just, something just basically just not functioning together the way it is supposed to, the way it should.
So it doesn't merge.
It doesn't merge.
Or the
right.
puzzles of the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't calculate.
Okay. Okay.
But it's functioning, but it's not It's not calculating right. It's like, oh yeah, the car is running. Right. But I hear the transmission and the ticking noise and all these things, and it's jerking and stuff every time you stop at the light. It's dysfunctional, but it still works.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's to me dysfunction.
Okay, so I looked up the word dysfunction.
Okay.
And the definition that they gave as dysfunction is that it's defined as a abnormal or impaired functioning, or the part of an individual, person, between person in any sort of relationship or amongst members of a family.
Okay. Yeah.
So relationships can be anything, and then it's saying family. But it's interesting how they took aside family from relationships because that's still a relationship too.
There's dysfunctional family, but I'm interested to see where we go to in terms of is it subjective or
Oh, that was my question, just my personal. Yeah. So moving to, let's begin by or start off with dysfunction in the workplace.
Yes.
And I think that every workplace has a level of dysfunction. Every workplace. Because whether or not you deem it dysfunctional doesn't mean someone else can come in and deem it as dysfunctional. And that's where I'm going with the subjection of is it subjective? Because everyone's level of dysfunction is different.
Everyone's level of dysfunction is different.
Outside of just the highlighted dysfunction definition. So
let's say a real booming business right now, let's say Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon is booming.
Yes.
And it has made leaps and bounds over the years. Is there some dysfunction to their process?
Absolutely.
Okay, and us being customers, because I never worked,
Yeah.
I never been down to the main office or anything, or sat down with the CEO. Where do you see some of the dysfunctions as a customer?
As a consumer, I don't even work there, but as a consumer, I found that it's dysfunction because Amazon thought of this amazing idea to bring vendors together to get people things that they didn't have to go to a specialized website for. Mm-hmm. So Amazon, you can get everything from toiletries to party things and baby shower gifts and birthday and customized glasses with people's last name in it. These are things that I personally purchased. This is why I'm saying these things. This is my personal experience. So if we have all these vendors coming together, you then aren't able to see the overall operational. What is the business term for? I'm trying to remember the business, but I can't. But basically, you're not able to see the overall arching of those things being handled. Mm-hmm. So if I receive a product that's incorrect, right, I have to go to the extent to say, hey, this was incorrect, show a picture, blah, 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 like that. Whereas if you had one product from one site, you would know your product and your vendor.
Okay, so you say there's some dysfunction because in the accuracy of maybe the order.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, accuracy in orders. Sometimes the what do you call the loyalty or the honesty, the ethics of the company or the vendor that
because
they use.
You can't really police the vendor
like you. Even with clothing, right? So a girlfriend and I have noticed that they'll take models from a site with the clothing and use it, but the vendor is in China.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's not ethically or morally right, but they do it, and then they'll sell you this dress on this model. Then you get it. People post pictures and it looks nothing like what's on the model.
Yeah.
Even if their body shape isn't the same as the model, of course, but the way that they position the outfit to look, or the dress or the shirt, it's like you're missing a little bit threading here.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why you say that's dysfunctional, but I think they calculated that, and they knew
there's going to be some mishaps.
Yeah, there's going to be some. But I think from my experience, and I use Amazon a lot. I'm not going to lie. Who doesn't? The return policy is easy.
Yeah, it is.
So
that's why they have to be lenient on that because of that reason. Because it's the oversight it's hard to oversee so many vendors.
Okay.
So, but I just believe every environment have a level of dysfunction. Do you not agree? What are your thoughts? Do you not think so? Have you ever been to an environment, or even in just your own personal experience, have you ever left the agency, went to another one or a company or a team?
Yeah.
And because there can be levels of dysfunction in just one organization if you go to separate teams.
I mean, there can always be dysfunction because we have this human element, and there's just sometimes
we're all imperfect.
Yeah, I understand that.
Have you experienced that? Have you ever been to a new job or team or organization and went to the team and you am I the only person on the same planet here? Because these people are.
There's some.
So that's dysfunction.
You're gonna find a lot of dysfunction in HR processes, and then this is the way we always done it.
Yes.
Do it this way.
I hate that term.
We've been doing this for 7 years and it has
or
worked.
Phrase.
Yeah. So and that's dysfunctional. Just not to change the process just because this is the way you've been doing it. That's a dysfunctional thinking. But that goes back to the topic, justifying just dysfunction because this is the way we have always done it. So then that's how you justify it. Well, we see it always justified at work based on that way.
So with me researching the definition of dysfunction, I came across this article. You know, I love my articles. Inc.com. And it brought up that there are over 50 types of 50 forms of dysfunction in a workplace.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
That's very interesting. I would not have identified 50.
Okay.
A good 20, yeah. 50? Half of 100. I couldn't even. It is half of 100.
It is. She's right. It's half of 100.
But I wouldn't have thought it would be so high.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I could imagine it because of the things I've experienced, but I wouldn't have.
Some examples?
Yeah, so just a few that I identify with in particular, because I did pull those out because some of them I had to really like look at the descriptions, like what are these? I was like, oh, so I identify with a lot more than I thought, just not knowing the technical phrase or term. So one was withdrawing support, taking undue credit, gossip and rumors, misrepresented roles, hiding resources or withholding information or refusing to share knowledge.
I agree. Yeah.
It was so many. Those are just some of the few.
Yeah,
but
those are good ones.
It was ascribing bad motives. Like it was so many. I was just like, oh my gosh. And like it's just basically like we have had someone who withdrew support. You know, like when you need something from them and they were like, figure it out. Like that's not helping. Yeah. Or even in management. It was like on all levels. So I like how that they identify the terms, but it could apply to team, individual, management, upper management, and so forth. Taking undue credit. I mean, I have experienced that firsthand. Like, because you'll go to your manager thinking that there's loyalty. They even talked about like disloyalty, and they take your credit and they take the credit of your idea or something and take it to higher management. So higher management think is their idea versus the person, their subordinate. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, that was my idea when you hear it.
Yeah. And so I guess, in a competitive environment, there's...
you never know who to trust.
There's different rules, but that's dysfunctional.
That's very dysfunctional.
Because...
And it's not motivating.
Yeah.
And then hiding resources or withdrawing information. I think this one by far can be the woes of someone starting new at any organization, because not everyone is welcoming. So they're not going to tell you everything they know. They want you to figure it out on your own, and they withdraw because they feel like you can take their job, or they don't know what you know. Like they're summing you up so they can withhold resources and information because they don't want you to have any more competitive edge than they do. Yeah. When they don't even know what you do or how you may even fit into the, you might be able to help them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But people don't see it like that. They see it, hey, I'm in competition. If this person, if I give them the knowledge, they're going to get a raise before me. They're going to make it to the next seat before me. So
I find that it's not the workplace that's necessarily dysfunctional because of the workplace. It's mainly dysfunctional because of the individuals a part of the workplace.
So then it kind of goes into the question. One of the questions I asked, I said, letting coworkers' work habits and nasty attitudes affect the organization without properly being addressed. I mean, why? Like how? I mean, I don't know if you're going to ever be able to fix dysfunction completely, but why is it allowed? Why is it not addressed? Why? Does it continue to exist if you're trying to have a healthy organization? So let me give you an example.
Okay.
So let's say we're just keeping the studio. So I'm just gonna play with the engineer for a little bit. So we're in the studio and we know the engineer, he's crappy. I mean, he has a bad attitude. He shows up late after. We supposed to start at 7 and he shows up at 7:05. But the studio manager, they allow it to happen. Well, but they justify it. And how they justify it, well, he's an intern, he's a good kid, or he does good work, when he's here. There's things that we do, and sometimes I think talent especially like in entertainment and especially in like athletes and things like that. You justify bad behavior, and you're more lenient because of their talent. So
I see.
Let's say if let's say you're the guru on Excel. We're working in an organization. You're the guru on Excel, and you're very talented with numbers and budgeting and forecasting, all those things like that. But however, you take longer lunches than everybody, and you smell like weed when you walk in the office. Yeah, I know she smells like weed and things like that, and yeah, she went to Ocean Prime, for lunch.
I like Ocean Prime.
She went to Ocean Prime for lunch, but when she's here, she gives us good work. That's justifying, and sometimes, then that's dysfunctional,
right? And it's actually, what do you call it? It's awarding bad behavior,
right? And let's say you have a nasty attitude. Let's say the engineer has a nasty attitude. Sometimes we allow them to exist in the environment. Why? Because they're the only one we have.
Because of the KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities.
I like that. Or they're cheaper labor than the next person. Or that's my cousin. So
that's favoritism,
right? But still, these are dysfunctions that we justify, or easy one. Oh, he just lost his uncle, so he's in a bad mood. How long are we gonna allow him to be in a bad mood? And or whatever the case, or he's going through a divorce. Give him some slack or something. Like, she's going through a divorce, give her some slack. So these are natural justifications that we do.
Yes. So everything you describe is a part of the 50 forms of dysfunction that I skimmed over in my article. And I didn't even recognize it until you mentioned all these things in one. Like you just telling me that made me think of everything that I skimmed over even before I even read all the descriptions.
Gotcha.
Because of the phrases that they use to identify it. But that type of behavior in an environment can be very difficult for other people to feel appreciated, a part of a team. Right. Because when you start to isolate people because of how you know them, how much you know them, how long they work there, their skills and abilities, you then begin to actually indirectly separate people.
Yes.
And cause conflict. You can cause conflict amongst the staff as a higher up or a manager or a CEO or whomever. Because you're then showing that you favor one side more by showing actions like that.
Right.
So then you'll have a disgruntled employee to say, hey, when I need time off, no one give it to me. Or when I lost my dad, nobody cared and they want me back here on this project. They can start to compare. And then you're like, well, you never complete your project. So then they start to attack your work. But it's like, that's not fair because what are we going to do here? Are we going to give this person who don't do half the work that I do because they had a death in the family or something like that, and then say this is the culture of the environment? Because I think it goes with the culture. And I think the reason why dysfunction mainly exists from your standpoint of what you were saying is because there are dysfunctional people in charge.
Yeah.
Like you're asking dysfunctional people to have a functional environment.
Right. And sometimes our lives are just full of dysfunction. So then therefore it's like, we just let so much slide. So then I want to jump in this article. Okay. And it's talked about, and the title of the article is called Self-Justification is Killing Your Relationship. So it goes into cognitive dissonance and things like that.
So are we now moving to the dysfunction for relationships?
Yeah, we're going to jump into relationships. Okay. And thank you for leading us. And
that's what I'm here for. Co-host of the year.
Yes.
Remember that for Christmas.
So there's 3 examples. So it says, and we talk about, justifying our behavior, things like that, self-justification. Why did you react? Give that response. Come out of yourself, or is that yourself? Sure, you said some awful things to your spouse, but they started it. So,
give me an example.
Yeah.
Let us give us an example so we can kind of like follow you down this trail.
Since I'm married, okay. So, my wife, let's say she Oh yeah, this happens all the time. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say she says, take out the trash, but she yelled at me, or like the tone.
Oh, tone. Okay.
Yeah, her tone. And she said, but in that she said, "Oh well, I always gotta tell you to take out the trash." So then I respond back to her, and this is not how I talk.
Why you?
Shut up, B. Shut up before I slap you. I'll take out the trash when I'm ready.
Wait a minute.
Right. But I'm saying, but then we be like, in our head, like, well, why did I respond that way? Well, she started. She should have not said it. She always has to remind me. So we always justify a harsher response or a behavior
towards another behavior. Right. Instead of allowing the person to identify how I felt when you addressed me in a particular way, I make it your fault in how I responded.
Correct.
Or how I address you initially.
You always
okay. I'm following you.
Another example. So this, I'm giving like two more examples. So yes, you were gossiping about somebody in the office, but they did something to you last month. So now it's fair game. They took your parking spot. They're
being petty.
They cut you off. So I want to talk about this person, and you justify it, like I deserve to talk about this person because. They
did X, Y, and Z to me.
Correct.
Oh gosh.
So this is more self-justification. So then it says, okay, you probably shouldn't have yelled at that customer, but they were being rude and demanding at the time. So self-justification is always justifying your own behavior.
Okay, what is it?
Self-justification.
Self-justification is a type of dysfunction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are things that kill your relationship.
I agree.
Just in a personal relationship, because now it's not just I'm never taking ownership.
David.
Yes.
I want to thank you right now for identifying this term for me.
Okay.
I was in a relationship like that.
Okay. Let's talk about it. That's what we.
And I thought I was going crazy because every time I would point out something to this individual of what they did to me or how I felt, they continued to tell me how I made them feel.
Yeah.
And I was like, but wait. When you feel that way, point it out. When I'm feeling this way, listen. And they couldn't understand that. And they was like, but then you tell me to talk about it. And I'm like, yes, to talk about it when you feel that way. Don't talk about it when I tell you how I feel, and then now you feel that way too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, 'cause then it makes me feel that it's only conducive to when I point it out.
Right.
Like, you don't really care about the situation until I make it something to tell, or I make it a situation to tell you, hey, I really don't like the way you talk to me.
Right.
So using your example as you and your wife, when she asked you to take out the trash, it's almost as if you're like, you fly off the handles, but it's more so like you're reactionary to saying, well, you don't cook dinner on time every time when I get home. So that's kind of like a response to her. Like, now we are in a battle of fighting each other and not the problem.
Right. And now I'm justified at screaming at you because
you don't cook dinner on time when I don't get home.
Right. But that wasn't even an issue, or it wasn't even on the table.
That is dysfunction, my gosh.
But this is what we do. And so then this also, so it ties into the term cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. Say this is
cognitive dissonance. So it's like, and it's a human behavior that we do to justify our bad behavior. Another example.
Human behavior to justify our bad behavior.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just and this is what we naturally do as humans. What? I know smoking is bad.
Oh.
But I'm trying to lose weight and it cars my appetite. So that's why I smoke. So I'm justifying smoking.
I never heard that one.
Oh, because it cars my appetite. So therefore it's okay. And it's okay to scream at you. You're being a customer because you came in storming in here demanding that you be put on level 10 and that your mic is loud. So it's okay for the engineer to scream back at you because you came in with the attitude anyway. So he justified his response towards you.
Okay.
So.
All right, I'm following you there.
So this is all dysfunctional behavior, but
do you know how often this takes place?
Oh yeah, this is a natural thing.
Every single day, every single minute, almost, and especially in work environment. Oh my gosh, and relationships. Let's not even count
relationships
the many times, because even if someone try to bring it home for you, I feel like the other person attacked them so viciously that they make it difficult for them to stay in that lane.
Right.
So going back to the example that you gave with you and your wife with the trash. So when you responded that way, or say you responded in the way where you said, well, dinner is never cooked when I am or when I arrive home. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, okay, but we're talking about this situation with the trash. Mm-hmm. When dinner's never cooked, why is the first time I'm hearing this? Or why are you addressing this when I'm addressing your problem?
Right.
And then you say, well, because every time I come home hungry and you never did, and the kids on this and you do that. And then they're like, you just never do things right. You're like, wait a minute. Right. Who are you talking to? So then you start to attack them personally, and it takes them far down a rabbit hole that you cannot even remember with your initial reaction or reason for bringing up the trash, Right. So now you're attacking each other about things that personally you dislike, or a little quirks about them that drive you crazy, but you're not doing it in a healthy way.
Right. So then it's like, how do you become better as a person? So
go to counseling.
I mean,
that's it. Because the counselor's only going to make you see that.
But also just self-evaluation. It's like,
nobody's going to, a toxic, dysfunctional person. Okay.
But if you're aware that this is what you do, if I tell you, I wonder what, every time, it's like, even like managers managers will do it. Because I hear this. I'm going to take it to work, then we can take it back home. So I remember I had a friend, and they went to the manager, and I think it was about, they had an issue with something else, like maybe issue with pay, but then the manager would bring up, you know what, but you've been taking, you used up all your leave or something like that. Like they did, so we see it as like deflecting and things like that. But even we do it like in the workplace where we just bring something else into the equation.
They had a term for that too. In the 50 workplaces dysfunctional things, they had a term for it. It's basically you're not acknowledging what the real issue is and deflecting and trying to hurt them in the way that you know is harmful.
Right. But in relationships, it is more about yourself justifying your behavior. So in order to get out of that, I mean, if I tell you that, hey, this is what you do, it seems like, D'Angelo, every time, you have an issue about, me coming home late or something like that. Mm-hmm. The response, well, let me see, how can I put it? Okay, you have an issue. We're married, and you have an issue with me coming home.
Set the scene for us.
Yeah, you have an issue with me coming home late.
Okay.
And you say, well, but then my response is, well, I come home late because I know that you're not going to cook. So I go out and I go.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I know you cook, but I go out with my friends after work and make sure that I eat before I come home and things like that. But you're kind of really just. I'm not saying you're shifting the blame, but you're justifying why you
don't do something for someone, or why. Yeah. Okay. So response to what you just said, and to almost like the past few like episodes that we discussed when I've talked about values of single people giving married people advice. I'm just thinking about that, and it was another thing I can't recall, but there's a few things that I mentioned in previous episodes and previous shows about I would be the person then to say to a friend who told me that the issue, like any friend who have an issue with their spouse or their significant other, the first thing I ask them is, have you talked to this person about this issue? Because typically you're annoyed by an issue that you have not addressed.
True.
So what you said, going back to what you said about like, hey, you come home and you're frustrated with me because I don't have dinner cooked, so you go and hang out with your boys. And I'm almost certain, or go eat and have dinner with your boys before coming home, which I find very disrespectful for a person who don't see you for almost 9-10 hours out of a day. So I'm almost certain that a few things have not happened. You have not told me that's how you felt.
Right.
But you have told other people who you don't have that issue with that's how you felt.
But then the main thing, I have told myself that it's okay to come home late.
I was getting there. You took the words right out of my mouth. That was going to be my other part, is that not only have you told other people because you already feel it, but you're then able to justify to other people. And this is how I feel like advice can be very, very, very subjective, because if you're going to your boys and say, man, she doesn't, like you don't have a whole perspective of it. You say, man, she never cooks me dinner. And you're like, what? Why she don't cook you dinner? Then you're like, I don't know. Like, then you're like, but nobody's getting the in-between. I'm the in-between person. So when people ask those questions, like, wait, so you don't know why? Did you ask them? No. Did you say something to them? No. Then you're like, wait, what's happening? You know, so then I feel like you already have an issue with it. But because of you feeling apprehensive to address it, you blow up when it becomes a thing of them saying something about you. So you're almost like existing or coexisting until there's a blow up or someone has something derogatory to say about your personality, your flaws, and then you attack them.
Yeah.
And then you need counseling.
Yeah.
Because again, no one's going to make you really see or be self-aware as much as you need to be unless there's a third party, because you are only coexisting to the level of yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
does that make sense? Like, am I coming?
And you could be right. Maybe people don't do a lot of self-reflection, but
they don't, and not even they don't even take critique well. Like they don't ask the right questions. So if you told me, and I will always get sidetracked from this. So like going back to the example, what you said with your wife, and say, "Oh, you don't ever cook me dinner," or whatever. I would then say, "Well, when did I not cook you dinner?" Or you never here to receive it. Yeah. Well, I don't receive it because of this. So then I'm the person that has the conversations. But then when you can't back it up with like facts, then I have an issue with you. Because I feel like you didn't do your part with making me aware that this mattered to you. Or even if it didn't matter to you that much, it's something that you prefer. And then we can have a conversation so that then we can both know each other's levels. Because whether you prefer, I can say, okay, say the conversation, I feel the same way about cheating. My whole idea of cheating is totally different than anyone else. I always say that if you went home to your wife and said, honey, I'm about to cheat on you. They're going to be like, okay, well, what's going on? Why are you about to cheat on me? But people do it afterwards and then expect you to understand. It's kind of the same situation. Like, I bet you that if people, especially in monogamous relationships, went home and said, I'm about to do this, you open up a level of discussion. But because they do it before and start telling you the reasons why, because the person that you go to and say you're about to do something, they're going to say, well, why? What's going on? But you don't do that. So then you start cheating and then you come back and tell them why. So it's like you're trying to do damage control and it's too late.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am that honest with my wife.
No, you are.
You know what?
But not all.
If you don't do this tonight.
But that's an honest person.
Yeah.
So you have good intentions initially. Yeah. Because 20 times out of 20, if that's even a thing. No, people say 10 times out of 10. Right. But if that's even a thing, people will not tell you until afterwards because they know that it's harmful and it will hurt you or it will hurt them if someone did it to themselves or to them. So
let me ask you this.
Okay.
Have you ever been in a dysfunctional relationship and you just allowed it? You're like, tell me about it.
It was my last relationship.
Okay, so your last relationship was dysfunctional. Why was it dysfunctional?
I want to say that you're making me feel so great about leaving my last relationship because it was so much more dysfunctional than I knew.
And some people don't.
And not even that. I recognized it was dysfunction, but I could not recognize the level of dysfunction. I could, but I couldn't explain it to others. Okay. Because when I was leaving the relationship or in the process of telling my friends or people that were around me who knew about the relationship that I was leaving, they were confused because it was in their eyes a working relationship. You got to go through the challenges and blah, blah, blah. So I knew it was dysfunctional because of some of the characteristics that we're describing today.
Gotcha.
And a lot of it played a part. A lot of things that played a part were their level of dysfunction. So I recognize that dysfunction comes from family. Period.
Ooh, okay.
Period.
Listen, fight me. Let's park it there.
Fight me. You know what? I'm here for it. Okay. I feel like dysfunction comes from your family. And I'm willing to bet almost $1 zillion. Even I don't know therapy. I don't have no degrees. Because those are the people who raise you. You know nothing different than what they teach you.
I agree. No, I mean, you're not going to get an argument from me.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. At least we don't have to throw no bows up here.
Yeah. So. No. But so then the thing is, Okay, so then we justify our family dysfunction. So have you ever brought a boyfriend, girlfriend over to, I mean, cause even as friends, like when we were kids, 14 years old, you bring your girlfriend over, your homeboy over, hey, and you prepping them.
Yep.
For what they're about to see in the household.
Yes.
You know, so it's
that happens in every relationship too.
Right. So you prepping them, hey, you know, we're going to visit my mom, my dad, my parents for the first time, whatever the case. Let me tell you this. My dad likes to do this. And
so don't feel offended. My mom says this. My auntie says that. My cousin says this. My sister do that. Don't feel offended. They're just joking. They're trying to downplay their family dysfunction.
Correct. Okay.
That's the point that I'm making. You're making my point for me almost.
Correct. And it does start with family. Mm-hmm. So, I mean.
Yeah, I got you thinking.
Yeah, it has me thinking.
A little vexed over here.
But I feel like as you get, I mean, for me, I think for me it's like, you have to get to a point where you do self-evaluation. And everybody doesn't get to a point where they
stop.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me tell you.
Hammer time.
Self-evaluation
go ahead.
is difficult to do when you don't understand the dysfunction levels. And going back to your point about you asking me, have I ever been in a dysfunctional relationship? And I said my last relationship.
Yeah.
I recognize that their level of dysfunction was toxic.
Okay.
And the person, although they were, when you're over 25 years of age, you then, I feel like, have developed your frontal lobe, your cerebral
I like that.
has fully developed, and you can make decisions of your own and start to say, oh, these mofos was dysfunctional on Thanksgiving and Christmas by Xing out auntie from coming, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So when you get into a relationship and someone says something to you that you may not want to hear, but you identify with, that's dysfunction. But you don't want to identify with it because your normalcy of dysfunction is on a different level of someone who don't have the same amount of dysfunction.
You're preaching. Go ahead.
So
we're going to take up an offering after this. Go ahead.
I could use the money.
Yeah.
So let's carry. Let me carry on then.
Okay, go ahead.
So I recognize in my relationship that this individual was very combative. And I know some of you all listening thinking like, what? More combative than D?
Yeah,
I do not consider myself combative.
Did he hit you with open hand or closed fist?
Right. They love to argue. I never have dated a guy who loved to argue more than this guy that I dated. And I could not figure out what was going on. Okay. Everything was an argument. But I recognize by getting to know them, which I think the dating process is so important when you're getting to know someone, because that's what you're supposed to do, is to understand their relationship with each family member that they're close with. They were used to arguing with their family very often. It was a level, like even when I really didn't recognize it until we were together and they would call and he would hang up on them in mid-sentence. I was like, you hang up on your mom like that? I was like, you hang up on your mom? Like, what? And now listen, I don't come from a family that's not dysfunctional. I'm just saying. I don't even have the best of relationship with half of my family at all. But I ain't hanging up on my mama.
Gotcha.
I got to have a level of respect. So the fact is that, like, you will continue to do this, not understanding that you are now allowing yourself to be a part of the dysfunction. Because you can have boundaries, but not in that way. Now you're actually becoming a part of dysfunction that you were taught.
Yeah. Okay. So there we go. I'm gonna park right there.
Can I get my money? Can I get the offering plate?
We're gonna cut some chat.
Some dinner.
So taught. Okay. And these things are inherited, or they're observed, or whatever the case. But when does a person grow up and mature enough to actually look back on their life like, you know what? Mom put in that spinach and that meat and the macaroni and cheese. That didn't make sense.
The traditions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the traditions is like.
Let me tell you when you go to counseling.
Okay.
I hate to keep saying this because let me tell you about counseling. Counseling makes you look within and ask you questions. Why? Why do you do this?
You have to
why do you care?
Get to the root.
You're not going to do those things when you have only a level of dysfunction to classify.
Okay. This is when you do those things.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is
I want to hear this.
Is when you reach a point in failure.
Oh,
okay,
nope. I'm sorry, David. I don't agree with you.
Okay, this is when you should do. Okay, let me give you an example. I've been married before, and I'm divorced. I'm on my second marriage. That's gonna last until about 72.
Okay, Mr. Steve Harvey over here.
So I mean, it's like when I went through my divorce, it's like that's when you have to do self-evaluation.
Okay.
Okay, this is a failed relationship. So there's a point of failure for me. So I'm like, okay, what role did I play that, or what was I bringing to the table that, okay, man, that was dysfunctional for me to be hanging out with my boys at the bowling alley until 2 a.m. My wife's at home with my son. So that's kind of dysfunctional, or that's bad behavior, or whatever the case may, whatever how you want to see it. But let's say I observed my dad doing that. And I picked up that behavior.
Yes.
So you have to, at one point, you're like, well, what Dad showed me, that wasn't the wisest thing.
Yes.
But everybody doesn't do that.
Exactly.
But I'm saying you should do that when you see that it's not working.
No, and that's why I don't think that family is your point of reference.
There we go. I'm with you.
I think family is your point of excellence. Like, I don't want... This is not... Because your family is how they felt about things.
Right.
How do you feel about things? Do you think this will work out for you? Does this work out with the person that you're with? Because typically, even when I hate to hear even... And I am probably the worst person in the world, but almost the best person at the same damn time to give you the I guess the Venn diagram of it all, because I feel like I have abandonment issues from both mom and dad. Meaning, like, I don't say, I want a man to treat me like my dad. Okay. That man is not your damn daddy. He should not be treating you like your dad. That is your partner. Your daddy is a person who made you, who is divine right to take care of you for the rest of his life until he leaves this earth. I don't think it's fair for any woman on this earth to say the person that I married should treat me like my daddy. I don't think that's fair.
But that could be so that's
exactly
subjective to me. That's subjective.
Yes, I think your father should show you how a woman is treated through your mother, but not through the relationship with you. Do that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay, so I don't feel like it's fair because that's a totally different relationship. There's a different intimacy level with someone who's married than somebody who's a daughter with their dad. You know what I mean?
But I mean, I've heard this before. So it's like,
and the same with moms and their sons.
Right. So let's say, okay, my dad. Okay, I'm a girl.
Okay.
I'm a girl, and I'm saying, okay, I want somebody to treat me the way my dad treats me. I mean, I don't know what does that actually mean? Does that mean
right?
I wanted them to be able to do things that my dad does for me. So is that be a protector? Okay, be a provider, and probably some type of affection, appropriate affection, of course, between dad and.
See, you see what I mean? What you just said right there makes me realize how no one should be classifying a partner to treat them like their parents.
So then, if they said, well. If a guy falls short of being the protector that your dad was, being the provider that your dad was, I can see there being a legitimate issue.
Well, the issue that I find is that this person actually don't know what they need from a partner. Because I may not need my partner to provide in the way that my dad did.
Because you don't know how your dad is as a
partner.
I'm with you on that.
And that's the point that I'm making. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to ruffle any feathers because I know people look at it and say that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
I do not agree. And that's why I say I'm probably the worst and best person to have these two types of opinions, because I don't have that level of competency as in like, oh, my dad treated me like this. And I think it's for good reason. Right. I think the good Lord know what he was doing when he was lining my steps.
Yeah, and I can understand, like, because it's like, it could be an irritating phase. It's almost like people who, like, are single, like, oh, well, the Lord is my husband. Come on, the Lord's not your husband.
Stop blaming the Lord for everything.
Jumping in bed with you.
I just want people to stop blaming the Lord for everything.
Cuddling with you.
Right. So I do see. So, and that's my understanding of relationships. Like, I feel like people put too much pressure on the person to be like something that they really have no idea of. And we're going to have to continue this topic next week because we run out of time. We have got way too deep and didn't get covered a third of what we wanted to talk about.
Right. I mean, because dysfunction does run
segmented to so many other things.
It runs deep. Dysfunction runs deep. And because sometimes we love our family, we would justify bad behavior.
The reasons,
and bad things, bad traditions, and things like that.
and really don't have a reason to why. It goes into like just a quick reference. Mac and cheese. In the black household, African American, Southern, Creole, like wherever you're from and you love mac and cheese, everybody have their own tradition of how they make mac and cheese. The one question I have asked, being a self-taught person who self-taught cooking, like I've never went to culinary school, is asked, why do you use an egg yolk in the mac and cheese? Nobody can give me an answer. Not one person. They tell me it's to bring the noodles together. Well, what the hell the cheese for? Like, nobody can give me a logical answer other than that's the way my grandmother did it. That's the way my mother did it. Yeah. That's the way. No one can give me a logical answer. You don't need the egg to bring no daggone noodles together when you got all that cheese and milk and stuff in there.
So is that the way you make yours?
I make it without the egg. I don't need no damn egg to make no cheese, mac and cheese.
I never.
People use egg and mac and cheese. I have actually seen the egg swimming around in the mac and cheese. So that's just an example as to like how we carry on sometimes traditions, not having reasons to why we do it other than someone told us to do it that way. Not exploring the idea of like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, and
does this work for me?
And that's what you do. You have to question. It's like even in child raising, like okay, you evaluate the way you were raised, and
David,
is that okay? Yeah, my mom, my dad, they did this, but was that really the best route? Mm-hmm. But a lot of people,
true story.
Are lazy.
Just to pause you for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a true story.
Yeah.
I went to a baby shower, a close friend's baby shower this weekend, and they had a box. I'm gonna close this out. I know we gotta wrap this up because you're just going too far. We gotta continue this next week.
Yeah.
The baby shower that I went to, and they had an advice box to the parents to be, and my advice for the box was raise your child in the way that the child needs.
Okay.
Meaning not the way that traditionally how you were raised or how the other person was raised. Because it's a totally new child. It ain't you. It ain't the father. It ain't the dad. It ain't your sister. It ain't the brother. It ain't the mom. It ain't the, like nobody in-laws. Yeah. This is a new child to the picture that's going to need totally different things that you're going to have to be prepared for. Yeah. And I feel like that's what birth of children do. Yeah. It makes you change up everything you've ever known about yourself and everything, but people consistently do not do it to make a better life for that child or their lives.
But that really translates to everything because like
the dysfunction.
We get married. Let's say we got married, even though we work spouses. But let's say we got married.
We married work spouses.
I want to frame my relationship the way my parents' relationship is because they've been married for 4 years. They've been married for 10 years.
Yes.
They can't be married for 10 years.
David, we got to talk more about this next week.
So it's like, that might work for them. Mm-hmm. But for each person, you just have to approach everything and just figure out what is the right formula.
Yes, for that situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we gotta go, guys. We have to wrap this up. We have to talk about this next week. What do you think, David? We should revisit this.
We could touch up on it next week.
Okay. We're gonna add a few things that we didn't cover and then carry it out with maybe something else because this is getting really deep with a lot of
dysfunction in your romance.
Dysfunction in your family. Why you have dysfunction in your romance because of you. So yes, I guess should we hold off on the question of the day or should we? Maybe we should ask. Go ahead. Maybe we should just ask. Like what is dysfunction to you?
And what kind of dysfunction in your life do you allow to happen? And hey, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm married to my husband. To my wife or whatever the case. And they do this, but I allow it.
Yes.
Because she's a good provider.
Yeah, because now you're balancing the scale. Oh, we're going to stop here. Yeah. You guys know how to get in touch with us at thyworkspouse@gmail.com. That's THY workspouse@gmail.com and at workspousepod on all networks. So until next time, coworkers. Goodbye. Hey, I'm D'Angela.
And I'm David. And we're work spouses. Yep, you heard it right. But not the type that you're thinking of.
We realize you spend more time with people at work than you do with the people you love most.
We're going to discuss the interactions such as the games played at work, building the right and avoiding the wrong relationships. D'Angela and I, we're currently work spouses.
Join us each week as we testify, help, and complain about work in corporate America. Hey, I'm D'Angela.
And I'm David. And we're work spouses. Yep, you heard it right.
but not the type that you're thinking of.
We realize you spend more time with people at work than you do with the people you love most.
We're going to discuss the interaction